During the third phase of the Pnyx, the building was greatly enlarged and expanded. As this excavation shows, this is the retaining wall of the second phase of the Pnyx, and this is the retaining wall of the third phase. This is the bema, or speaker's platform, where the speaker would stand when he spoke to the ecclesia. There's also room for rock-cut seats both here and above, where representatives from the Prytanies would sit during the meetings of the ecclesia.
The acoustics from the bema are unbelievable. Here's what a speech from Demosthenes might have sounded like.
Many speeches are delivered, men of Athens, at almost every meeting of the assembly about the wrongs that Philip has been committing ever since the conclusion of the peace, not only against you, but also against the other states. And all the speakers would, I am sure, admit in theory, though they do not put it into practice, that the object both of our words and deeds must be to check and chastise his arrogance. Yet I perceive that all our interests have been so completely betrayed and sacrificed that I am afraid it is an ominous thing to say, but yet the truth, even if all who address you had wanted to propose, and all of you had wanted to pass measures that were bound to bring our affairs into worst possible plight, I do not think that they could have been in a worse condition than they are today. The rock-cut architecture of the Pnyx is particularly symbolic, as it represented Athens' claim at autochthony, that they were sprung from the very earth itself. Over here, you can see a very interesting building construction. This is false bedrock. These are stones from the earth of the Pnyx that were carved out in huge pieces so that you almost can't see the seam, because the slope of the hill wouldn't allow for a symmetrical platform. During the third phase of building at the Pnyx, this retaining wall was built from massive polygonal blocks. At a first glance, it almost looks like the Cyclopean masonry found in Mycenaean fortification walls. But taking a closer look, these are in fact deliberate attempts at archaizing during the 4th century, almost falsifying a history through architecture to prove the age and solemnity of the ecclesia. This massive retaining wall was actually several courses higher.
Votive plaques were carved and placed on the very bedrock of the Pnyx by individuals who wanted to commemorate their allegiance to its political and social ideology. This was one of only a few opportunities available for all classes of Athens to publicly and permanently display their ties to the body. The altar of Zeus represented a portal interconnecting the gods to the mortal politics of the hill. This small structure was seen by many to be the very divine sanction of the ecclesia. After the construction of the third phase of the Pnyx and the Roman conquest of Athens, the altar of Zeus was relocated to the Agora. The overseer of Athenian democracy was stolen and placed obediently below the watchful eyes of the new Roman rulers. Here lies the final resting place of the altar of Zeus in the Agora.
The structure I am standing in now marks one of 2 possible stoae on the top of the Pnyx. These 2 buildings mark 2 of the most convoluted structures on the entire site. Many scholars attribute these to a Lycurgian building project that is associated with an arena and sports complex that wrapped around the top platform. This is extremely improbable due to the extreme slope and just the small open area you see around me. Other scholars attribute these 2 buildings as shelters. For travelers, there's also just an explosion as Athens burns. But back to the academics. Other scholars attribute these 2 stoae of the Pnyx as possible safe havens for weary travelers to sit and wait and be saved from the elements as the rest of the crew showed up.
Just a few meters away from the Pnyx was the ashlar and mud brick fortification wall of the city, a constant reminder of the important work that the ecclesia had to do every day.
Politics in Athens can be quite abrasive at times, as you can see, both in the ancient years and in today.
The Pnyx is now a rather pretty archaeological site, but you have to imagine that 2,500 years ago, a gathering of something like 7,000 politically interested people could get pretty messy. This is Syntagma Square right now in front of the modern Parliament building here in Athens.